Good morning. This is Jennifer Noreen, and I'm here with Marie Pettie, and we are going to talk about rental assistance programs again today. COVID has brought some challenges for some of the renters that Marie gets to serve, and she's motivated to provide some help and information there. So, good morning, Marie. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I am super fabulous today. And I know we're going to talk about, COVID again, but I want to kind of reverse the conversation and talk about some solutions today. And one of the solutions that we're going to talk about today, I think is going to be very exciting for our landlords.
Well, cool. So you have something to share besides what we talked about, or is this what we talked about already?
I just kind of introduced Free253. I didn't go into any detail, so I'd like to go into a little bit of detail today.
Yeah, there's so many things available, and this one sounds really exciting. So, what is Free253?
Well, Free253 is a Pierce County program for Pierce County that is actually at least 3 agencies that want to help with the facilitation of communication and conversations between landlords and residents or renters to try to facilitate that conversation, because sometimes it's like them against me type of with the landlord. So and a lot of residents kind of shut down because it's scary, when you don't have the money and you don't know how it's going to be fixed, and then you have to talk to the landlord. That's not a fun time for them. So Free253 kind of is an intermediary in between the landlord and the resident to facilitate that conversation.
So it's not collaborative, and there's a lot of fear and anxiety for residents, I'm sure, and also frustration for landlords because there's laws and things, or not laws, but directives coming at them that are not necessarily things that help their business. So that's challenging and frustrating. So how does it work?
Well, I have a few notes. I mentioned before I attended a panel discussion with a couple of attorneys, and they kind of mentioned it. There were some agencies that also were a part of that panel. And one of the first ones was the Housing Justice Project. And what all of these agencies do is they start an informal conversation process with the resident through coaching and wrapped around conciliation. These agencies are trained in conflict resolution. So it's really, and mediation. So they're trained at kind of getting to the meat of the issue. And the whole purpose of it is to start the dialogue and to put together a payment plan that's going to work for the resident, and residents are willing to accept this because, they don't have to talk to the landlord. That's a big deal for them, apparently.
So is Housing Justice Project is that what they contact to get this help, or is that who's sponsoring Free253?
There's 3 agencies in the Pierce County that I'm going to mention, and if you call one of these agencies, you'll be able to be directed to the right mediator to help the resident.
I'm going to type them on our ticker here. So go ahead.
Well, we have, of course, the Housing Justice Project. We have the Center for Resolution. And we also have, let's see, Fair Housing. Wait a minute, I'm reading my notes. Fair Housing Center of Washington. And the whole idea is they will write the offer up, they will put everything, document everything, which is I feel is really a great program to start the conversation with. They're professional listeners, because they've been trained in mediation, and it creates a safe place for them to talk and to get to a resolution. And they could do it over the phone, Zoom, things like that, and just kind of get that going. And there's also an organization for King County too, that can be contacted. So I just wanted to share that with, kind of dig into that to know that there is a third party that is interested in working with our residents and starting that conversation and hopefully getting to a resolution. And I think that is fabulous. That's great.
Yeah. So do you think that is Washington State unique in the number of programs we have available to renters? I think you need to hang your phone up to get rid of our feedback. Do you have me on phone?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, weird. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. So is Washington State unique in having all these programs, or is that pretty standard? Or
I don't know if Washington State is unique. Just kind of focused mainly on that, but State. But as far as Washington is concerned, they're really reaching out to try to help the situation, even though the situation is very problematic for landlords and residents alike. The whole situation is very problematic.
Yep, it's difficult. It's a struggle on both sides, and
Yes.
it's just taking the time and energy to connect with the organizations and finding out how they work and filling out their applications and all of that. So do each of these organizations probably have websites?
They do. If you Google the organizations, their websites will pop up. And all you don't have to remember the program. Just say that you want to talk to a mediator about a landlord tenant, and it immediately goes to Free253.
Okay. And then does the organization contact the landlord to pay the rent, or what happens after they contact?
After they contact, of course, they're going to go through the mediation and they're going to get permissions to contact the landlord and then kind of, present the offer that they've come up with and get that, going for the resident.
Yeah. Okay. So are these three your three favorites, or are those just the ones that happen to be discussed on the panel?
Those are the ones that were discussed on the panel that are a part of this system.
Got it. Okay.
Those were the three that were discussed. There could be more. And like I said, once they contact, then they would get them in contact with the right agency for that particular issue.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So they're sort of a mediator to the right agency for the situation that the resident's in. Got it. Okay. So very good to know. And so where does the Free253 name come from?
I'm sure they, coined that name just to, be an open name to where immediately, you don't have to pay for this service or anything like that, that it's open for Pierce County. Okay.
So it's referring to the services that are available. And I know we also have a page on your site. We need to make sure those three are listed. We have a new resources page. So I'll double check and make sure those three are on there. And then there's also a long list of other organizations.
Yes.
For rent assistance and other assistance. So Washington just seems very generous to me. There's so much, and maybe it's standard for every state, but I just think it's awesome that, that I'm talking to a landlord and there's warm, friendly places for them to go to if they're having a struggle paying rent during COVID, during the pandemic or otherwise.
Right, that's true. Yeah, and I think during this time period, there are landlords that are open to working with individuals. All they need to do is just call and talk and work something out. That would be.
Yeah. I think when we first met, we talked about how, life is difficult, right? And people are put into homelessness and financial stress for a lot of reasons beyond their control, right? And so compassion and understanding and communication is always a good approach. Doesn't matter. I think these things affect everybody. And I just think it's great. I'm glad that you're educated on how to help people. A lot of landlords are not. And I think the fact that you are educated on how to help people pay their rent is serving your resident, but it's also serving your owners. because your owners aren't having to, I mean, your owners can get involved and provide these resources, but you're kind of handling that for them, which is great. So there also is a link, if you're an owner and you're listening, the newsletter this month has a link to this page with all the resources. And again, I'll make sure that these 3 that we're talking about today are listed there.
Yes. Wonderful.
Anything else you want to say about Free 253, Marie?
That's, that's what I wanted to introduce to the folks and make sure they knew about that. And no, that's it.
Sounds good. Well, we'll talk to you next week and check in again about what's going on with COVID and other things going on with your business. If you have a question or a concern about the information we shared today, please leave a comment or feel free to call Marie. I will put her phone number up right now. So what's the office number there? 253
302 3079.
Yes. And or that they can contact you at safeharborrents@gmail.com. Yep. Okay. I'll put that. Let that run for just a second. Well, thanks, Marie. It's always good to see you.
You too. Thanks, Jennifer.
We will talk to you next week. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.